Hey guys, CryptoDad here again. Thanks for joining me on the Saturday night live stream. Live from Michigan, where you can throw out questions and I'll do my best to get them answered. We'll talk about Bitcoin, we'll talk about the news, we'll talk about altcoins, going to move some crypto around for you guys, and as always, I'll do my very best to get to your questions and see if we can't troubleshoot your problems here live. So welcome. I don't expect a lot of people to be here. It's kind of funny how fickle the market players are. I know a lot of you are here because you enjoy spending your Saturdays with me, as I enjoy spending my Saturday evening with you. A lot of you are here for help and troubleshooting, but I think a large segment of this live stream population are people that are interested in the market, and there's nothing wrong with that. But market players are very fickle when it comes to the market. And I get a lot of viewers when the market is up, and not so many when the market is down, but that's okay. I've been at this since 2017. I do own crypto. I think of it as a long-term investment, but I've seen the market fluctuate up and down, and it used to sort of rule my day and my mood, but I've sort of mellowed out in my old age. I stick with Bitcoin and a few of the major cryptos. I don't jump into the speculation as much as I used to. I still do occasionally, but I try to look at my major Bitcoin balance rather than my speculative investments, because they go up and down so much that it can really just give you a bad day, you know. So I don't check my portfolio 3 or 4 times a day anymore. I'm just a lot more mellow. But I still love self-custody. I still use my crypto wallets on a daily basis for my own personal use. And I spend a lot of time thinking and recording stuff tutorial-wise for all of you out there. So without further ado, it has been kind of a bummer last few days in the crypto market, but given a little perspective, to fall from say 120,000 or maybe more like 118,500 down to like 113,000 is really not that much. I'm not sure what that is percentage wise, but it couldn't be more than, you know, around 5% pullback from the latest highs, or let's talk about the highs of say last week or so. So that's not that much. Now the ETFs have been pretty active, and there's been a lot of attention on those. Last week I talked about the record inflows of Ethereum ETFs, and this week the big story is that there were ETF outflows. So it seems like the focus is more institutional now than it used to be. We're going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk a little bit in depth about Airgap wallets. There are a lot of people, especially Airgap wallet manufacturers, that claim that Airgap wallets are more secure than other hardware wallets. So we're going to investigate those claims and see if they're true. So thank you guys for being here tonight. Let's go over to the live scene, and I want to thank everyone that's here tonight. Kenny had something to do, so Kenny won't be here. He let me know he's going to give me the whole story tomorrow, but he's not going to be here tonight. But we miss Kenny dearly, and he said he'll probably watch tomorrow, just like W has been watching on Sunday mornings. Sometimes I'll watch myself on Sunday morning, and there are other times I'll rewatch the stream right afterward and then look at all the questions I forgot to answer. But yeah, Simon is here. Pratik Patel is here. If he's still around, he was here earlier. Taze Jew was gifted a membership by Dusted in Shadow. Thank you so much for doing that, Dusted in Shadow. Always appreciated. Hans Hannah 350 is here. It is a wonderful August. Welcome. Birds, Bees, and Trees early today. Nice to see Mr. Miskey. Dusted in Shadow, as I mentioned. E. Poston, who is in Vegas instead of Colorado. Careful with that pocket money. You don't want to lose too much or win too much, right? It'll throw you all off kilter. Bobby is here. Good to have Bobby. Just had a baby. Congrats on that. And it's good that you were able to find the time to join us tonight live. Henry Toper is here. I'm here. HR by Catherine. Fred McIntyre. Always happy to have you, Fred. Reminding everyone to smash that like button. Really nice. Birds, bees, and trees. Got a few cherry seeds. We went to the farmer's market this morning. We live in Grand Rapids. And I am pretty sure this was the very last week that they're going to have fresh cherries. And we bought some fresh Traverse City cherries. So I'll have some of those probably later. Goshen Crypto is here. Christopher Tain from Melbourne. Amsterdam, Holland. Milo. Mr. Eldorado. Why is Sailor moving large BTC now this week? He moves a lot. He buys a lot of Bitcoin. I don't know that he sold any but I didn't hear about that actually. But he buys a lot when the market's down. Let's see. Crypto Owl is here. Good. And Bart, live from the Netherlands. So good to have everybody here. We did a little trip over to, where is it? Oh, yeah, we went to Lansing. My son loves Raising Cane's chicken, and they don't have any in Grand Rapids. They have. We went to one in Nashville. We went to one in New York when we were there in Times Square. There's one. And we stopped in South Bend on the way home last week. And so we found out that there's one in Lansing, which is closer than South Bend. And we spent some time in Lansing. It's pretty cool. We went to this history museum. That is a cart for hauling wood. A lot of people may not know this, but the lumber boom in Michigan generated more income than the gold boom in California, if you can believe that. More wealth was extracted from Michigan lumber than the gold in California, by over $1 billion, actually. It wasn't a close heat. So this is some of the equipment. These are some of the guys. That's a sled, actually, with a bunch of wood loaded on it. I just love these old pictures, and I think, what did these people do? And also, if you're not aware, Michigan is the birthplace of Kellogg's and Post cereal down in Battle Creek, Michigan. They actually had this sanitarium where they did strange things to people for their health. These are some pictures from that. They had this guy with his hands and feet in water, and they were like administering electrotherapy of some kind. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. This is some of the Grangers in Michigan. Granger was a farmer society, kind of a political movement. That's an old radio. Pretty cool stuff. That's my wife as Rosie the Riveter. And at G&H stamp store. A lot of cool stuff in Michigan. And then a Corvette. Of course, Michigan is where the car industry was born. That's my lovely wife there posing next to an original Corvette. So pretty cool stuff. And then there was, I just went to and then we were at the zoo the other day, and we were looking at an eagle. That's my son stretching his arms on the wingspan of an eagle. So, but that's for the family pictures. If you guys have never been in the stream tonight or today or ever, there's a lot of stuff in the description, an overview of what we're going to talk about. If you don't see it, just click more under your video and you'll see all this stuff. A couple of things we're going to do. My latest video, I did a review of the Elipal X card. They were very nice to send it to me. An interesting card. It's very similar to the Tangem card in its day-to-day operation, but it has a little unit that comes with it that allows you to set the card up with fully air-gapped setup, which is pretty secure. I think it's a good idea, a good innovation for, to help people with cards. There's a lot of superstition around crypto wallets, crypto hardware wallets, a lot of paranoia I try to take all that paranoia out, but there are some really crazy ideas that people have about how wallets work and whether they're safe or not, and very skeptical. A lot of skepticism with hardware wallets. So and it's weird because it's everybody. All the major players agree that holding a crypto on using a hardware wallet is the safest and most secure way to store your crypto, hands down. It's much better than an exchange. It's much better than a hot wallet. And yet, when we get to cold wallets, people are so suspicious and skeptical about how they work. They think that they're designed to steal your crypto, just all kinds of stuff. But anyway, this was a good setup video. Now, they bill it as an air-gapped card wallet. And the way you set it up is Airgap, but its day-to-day operation involves NFC. But we're going to talk about what Airgap is and what it means and whether it's more secure or not later. But I did want to point out that you can set up a ledger device in a totally Airgap situation as well. All you have to do is, you can charge it up too. If you don't want to have a charging cable on it, you can set it up, completely separate from any kind of cable without having to connect to Ledger Live. You can do it completely on the device to generate your seed phrase. Oh my God, I don't know what I just did. I hope I didn't disconnect this thing. But anyway, it doesn't matter if I did. But yeah, it says Airgap, but it's not what we would call a true Airgap. But anyway, and then the Ledger recovery key is out. I claimed my free one last week, so I got my free one. I used I think it was my Stacks device to claim a free one for my own personal use. So maybe I'll just do an unboxing and setup because it's like a 5-minute deal. So I'll show you how that works. Here's some links here if you want to get a new device. A Ledger Stacks or a Ledger Flex will include one of these. And believe me, it's light. I always say light years. It's light years ahead of doing a word by word restore. If you've never done a restore, they're very tedious. You have to type in all of your recovery words on your device, and they are very tedious. And that thing just makes it like a breeze. So, and that, if you want to claim one, if you already have a Stacks or a Flex, there's a link here to claim recovery key. And if you just want to buy one outright or buy a pack of 3, I got a link there for you too. If you're new to crypto and you want to buy some crypto, I've got links for Kraken, Crypto.com exchange. So check those out. And if you think self-custody isn't for you, then Caleb and Brown. And then a whole bunch of hardware affiliate links down here and all of the stories we're going to talk about. So let's go over to our first story tonight. The big one, spot ETFs are seeing outflows. But you'll see, I mean, there's millions of dollars moving around, but really compared to the bulk or the totals, it's a very small percentage. So Bitcoin saw 812 million in outflows, which sounds like a lot. I mean, it's a lot for me. And the ETFs ended their longest inflow streak with 152 million in losses or outflows, right? But that's not saying much compared to where we were last week, where they had 10 weeks of record inflows, I think it was. So as the first outflow after a record-breaking inflow streak on Ethereum ETFs. So Bitcoin lost 812, and then they break it down here. The drawdown eased a week of steady gains and pushed cumulative net inflows down to 54.18 billion. So from 54 billion, less than a billion was outflows. That's not a lot. I mean, I don't know, percentage-wise when you think about it. And then let's see. And then the total amount of Bitcoin that is market cap of Bitcoin being held in all ETFs is 146.48 billion, representing 6.46 of the Bitcoin total market capitalization. Fidelity's ETF lost 331 million. Ark Invest's ETF lost 327. Grayscale's ETF lost 66 million, not billion, million. And BlackRock's IBIT was a minor 2.58 million of outflows. So, taken as a whole, when you in perspective, it wasn't a whole lot. But for a lot of people who are just getting into the crypto market, it is pretty disheartening to see a market pullback. Maybe if you just made a purchase, like you got on the phone with your broker and you're like, hey, get me into Bitcoin right now. And you throw in 10 grand and then you look at the value of your holdings and they're down to, 9 grand. That's pretty disheartening. But stick with us, guys. We've been there. We've seen Bitcoin pull back by 20% or more, back in the day. All the old timers will tell you. Trading volumes remained active. Right. So we're just seeing, I would say, a healthy pullback. Let's see where we're at here. Let me go to the top. Let me just refresh this. And where is Bitcoin right at the moment? 112,746. So down 0.66% for the last 24 hours. I'm not sure how I manipulate this, but I'd say probably a 5 to 10% pullback, maybe closer to 5 since its highs of last week. So nothing to really worry about too much. And apparently Ark Investing isn't worried very much because not only did Bitcoin and Ethereum in the market, crypto market pull back, the broader financial markets pulled back as well, stocks. And all of this pullback is really event driven, right? This is based on the fear of the new Trump tariffs taking effect that were supposed to go into effect on August 1st, and then Trump extended them for 7 days. He's still, trying to bargain with better trade deals. And this has been going on ever since the election. So tariffs are tariffs are tariffs, right? But that's really the impetus for the broader market pullback. But Ark is in there scooping up crypto-related stocks. They bought $30 million in Coinbase and $17 million in Bitmine shares on Friday amid price dips. So pretty interesting. Cathie Wood's jumping in there and buying up on the pullback. So she's a pretty smart trader, got a pretty smart firm. So it's obvious that we're not in a market free fall or anything like that. And Andreessen Horowitz warns of loopholes in the draft U.S. crypto rules. I kind of wanted to touch on the status of our crypto legislation. If you're not aware, the Genius Act has passed, and that has to do with stablecoins. But they're still working on the Clarity Act, which gives clarity with crypto regulations. Stablecoins are crypto coins that are tied to the price of a currency like U.S. dollar or the euro. Most of them are based on the U.S. dollar. And that already passed. But the Clarity Act is covering the real cryptos like Bitcoin and Ethereum and how they're going to be regulated and how they classify them and that sort of thing. And he's pushing for a digital commodity model. Basically, the Clarity Act is trying to make a determination as to which cryptos are considered securities and which are considered like commodities, and they fall under different rules and things like that. He's taking a different tack, and he's saying we should treat crypto as more of a third class, right? A digital commodity. which it's not like a regular commodity and it's not really like a security. I think crypto should be treated more like, or at least Bitcoin should be treated more like a currency, because Bitcoin definitely has a lot of features of a currency. Now, there are other cryptos like Ethereum and Solana that are sort of like virtual computers, virtual network computers that can run smart contracts and generate tokens and do a lot more. And then there's a lot of crypto projects that are basically like businesses that do sort of fall under stocks. But Bitcoin should be treated more as a currency, in my view. And I don't think they were going to do that. I think they're going to classify it as a commodity. Right. But hopefully the tax rules will change, so there won't be so many tax implications when buying and selling Bitcoin and spending it. Yeah. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about this story about Bitcoin mining. Is solo mining making a comeback? If you're not aware, Bitcoin is mined by people called miners, sort of like digging up gold in a mine. There is Bitcoin out there to be found. You have to have the proper equipment. You don't use picks and shovels. You use specialized computing devices. You could call them that. They're called miners or ASICs. And I forget what it stands for. Asynchronous integrated component or something like that. It's a specialized piece of machinery that mines Bitcoin. That's all it does, right? It does cryptographic calculations. And that's how Bitcoin is created and processed. And miners have been around a while. Back in the early days, you could mine Bitcoin on a laptop, just a regular old laptop. But as the blockchain increased in size, the complexity of the Bitcoin chain got higher. So as Bitcoin complexity increased, hash rates increased, miners had to get better. This goes right back to what I always talk about with hardware wallets. People complain that, now you're saying I have to buy a new hardware wallet. Well, if you compare buying a hardware wallet to better increase your the quality of the wallet that you use to manage Bitcoin, just think about how miners are. First it was only a laptop, then you had to have a GPU miner, which was a single or multiple GPU in a PC, and then they moved to specialized devices, and these devices, new ones come out every year. Old ones lose efficiency over time because of the complexity of the Bitcoin blockchain. A regular miner becomes obsolete after about a year, maybe 2 years. It's just not mining or getting as much mining as much Bitcoin as it did on day one because of the complexity of the Bitcoin blockchain getting more. So this is just kind of a window into that Bitcoin is cutting edge technology, and it is definitely not static. But I kind of wanted to cover this because there's a lot of people that ask me about mining, and I bought a miner back in 2013, and I mined for about a year and a half. Maybe it was 2 years. Maybe it was a year and a half. I can't remember exactly. But after about a year and a half, 2 years, that miner just wasn't paying for itself anymore. I only paid $350 for a used miner, and I managed to mine 2 Bitcoins over that time. Now, I was in a mining pool where you get a share of the rewards. So when you do that, you get a steady income. Solo mining is where you run your own mining rig, and you're not in a pool. You're just trying to win a block. And apparently some lucky solo miners have managed to do that, but they're using pretty high-end mining rigs. But it's kind of like the lottery. Now, there's some people that they buy these tiny little things that they're like little Raspberry Pis, And that's like a lottery ticket. It's not very expensive, but the chances of you actually mining a block on your own are about the same as if you were to buy a lottery ticket. Slim to none. But apparently there have been some high-profile people that have managed to earn a block reward. And this miner managed to win a 3.125 BTC reward, which was worth $327,000 at the time, worth a little less now. And he also reaped $3,436 in transaction fees. Of course, this was all paid in Bitcoin, and it went into his wallet. That's how a miner works. And then there were some other high-profile cases of people that actually won some blocks also. It's a competition. And then the miner that wins the block gets the reward. But generally, mining rewards are earned or won by large firms that have server farms, right? It's not just a single mining rig. But I did want to sort of just point out that a mining rig is $5,900. Now, this is a Key 1 miner, and this is the estimated revenue. And they're estimating you can earn $105 per day, $735 per week, $3,100 or thereabouts per month. Now that sounds pretty good when you think of $3,160 per month, and you've only spent $590. It sounds pretty good, but who's got $6,000 laying around to plop down for a miner? And the miner itself increases your electric bill by around $300. That's in the fine print down here. That electricity, this particular miner, they say 150 extra per month, and they've already figured that into these profit per day. But you have to realize that it's just like any other business. You have capital expenditures for your equipment. You have overhead, which is your electrical bill going higher. You also have to keep it cool, and it's got to be in an area where you've got networking, because it only takes a network. It doesn't work with Wi-Fi, and it's really loud. Now they've got the decibel here at 30 decibels. I don't know. I'm not a music person or anything. I don't know. I just know that I had one, and it sounded like a vacuum cleaner. This fan on here, there's a fan on both sides, and these fans always run at top speed. So it sounds like a vacuum cleaner. So, where to put it? I had it in my living room, but it was really annoying. Always, this constant, in the background. And, you want to stick it out in your garage. Your garage will get too hot. But if you live maybe up north or whatever, stick it out in a shed where it's cold most of the year. And that might be work for you, but you have to run your networking out there. So it's not a money tree. I just want to point that out. Now there are some more expensive ones. This one is $10,000, and apparently you can earn $280 a day. Oh, and another thing I need to qualify here is that these figures are based on Dash mining. Dash coin is the most profitable coin to mine to generate this kind of income. So we're not talking about Bitcoin mining here. You probably wouldn't probably get this kind of return on Bitcoin mining. And then you also have to remember that the crypto market is very volatile. If you ran out and bought a $10,000 miner in early 2022, you would have been pretty upset when the price of crypto tanked. And all that, crypto you'd been mining suddenly lost, and, considering Dash, it could have lost like 50, 60, 70% of its value. So you have to keep that in mind when you think about mining. But I just thought I'd cover that. And then this last story here, does Airgap make Bitcoin hardware wallets more secure. Now, you also have to remember that this article is on the what's the name of this company? BitBox, the BitBox blog. So they're going to be a little bit biased, but this is a pretty well-researched article. And an air-gapped wallet, if you're not familiar, it's like a cold card or a Keystone 3 Pro. It doesn't connect to anything. There are no cables. And so you scan QR codes. Emmanuel, thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. You scan QR codes in order to do transactions. So you have a watch wallet that is like Ledger Live but not connected to the hardware device. The watch wallet you can say, okay, I want to send some crypto, and it generates a QR code, which you scan with the hardware wallet to read in the transaction. And then on the hardware device, you authorize the transaction or sign the transaction. And then the hardware wallet device generates an approval QR code. And then you scan that QR code with your watch wallet, which is usually your phone, in order to complete the transaction and broadcast it. And they're saying, oh, because there's no cables, there's no Bluetooth, there's no Wi-Fi, it's more secure. But personally, I think it's more security theater. This is how a normal hardware wallet works. You've got your computer, which may be running Ledger Live or Trezor Suite, and then you've got your hardware wallet or device, as I like to say, to keep it, because all it does is sign transactions. So the computer sends the transaction details, the hardware wallet signs it and sends it back to the computer. With an air-gapped wallet, there is no cable, there is no signal. So why are they not as secure as they say they are? So there are three main points that this article makes. And that is, number one, there is still communication going on, right? There has to be some communication, or you wouldn't be able to interact with the blockchain at all. So we've got a USB cable here. We've got Bluetooth here. And then with a hardware wallet or an air-gapped wallet, you've got QR codes, which are photons in the air, or you're moving a flash drive between your computer and the device in order to update the firmware. So there's definitely communication going on, even with an air-gapped wallet. It's just a little more indirect. So it's not that much different from a hardware wallet that uses a USB cable or Bluetooth or NFC. And that communication can still be compromised. QR codes can be maliciously altered on multiple levels. A micro SD card has its own operating system that can be hacked. USB communication itself does not help mitigate the attack vector. So you could accidentally download malware instead of the correct firmware, and then you've got malicious firmware. And if you take that SD card and stick it in your device, you've just loaded malicious firmware on your air-gapped device. So it's not as secure as they claim. And they claim it's transparent, right? Oh, you can see exactly what's happening. Well, yeah, I mean, I can see my fingers picking up a SD card and putting it in the device. That is true. And I can look at a QR code and see, oh, there's a QR code. But when we get down to the brass tacks of it, Bitcoin transactions, if you were to look at it, now some actually use the SD card to do the transactions, like if it's an air-gapped computer. So if you look at what's on the SD card, it's all in code, right? And I don't read hex code. Maybe some people can, but it's not that transparent, right? And QR codes, I can look at a QR code and go, yeah, that looks good to me, but it could be anything as far as I know. And there are such things as malicious QR codes. And then some approval codes here. So they're not as secure as I'm not saying they're not secure. I'm just saying that the idea of an air-gapped wallet being more secure than a normal hardware wallet is not really valid, right? Because it has its own attack surfaces, right? And one of the biggest problems that I have with Airgap wallets is that they are just so inconvenient to use. They go through several known vulnerabilities that were discovered by white hat hackers. Most of these are local. They have to have possession of the device. But of all these, they talk about whether an Airgap wallet would have helped, and most of them, an Airgap wallet would not have helped. They're very specific. I'm not going to go through these. But there was one little graphic I wanted to, this one. Okay, so this is the normal process of how you deal with a hardware wallet. You create the transaction, goes to the hardware wallet, sign the transaction, it broadcasts out. These are all the steps you have to go through with an Airgap wallet. You got to create the transaction, write it on a micro SD card, remove the SD card, put it in your hardware device, confirm the transaction, remove the SD card, plug it back into the computer. This is just so inconvenient and cumbersome. It's just a lot of what I call security theater for a process that is not that different than a normal hardware wallet. They just want you to think it's more secure because nothing is connected to it. And then there's something here that I love. A common saying is complexity is the enemy of security. I get a lot of people that come to me and say, I want the most secure wallet ever. And so they run out and they buy a cold card or they get a keystone, and then it is so complex and difficult to use that lowers their security. They're more in danger of losing crypto because they're using a device that is so complex. Either they can't figure out how to do it at all, or they do something wrong and end up losing crypto. So, I believe in hardware wallets. And if you feel like this is going to be a better for you, you feel more comfortable, more power to you. But really, the best, what you really want to look for is the best balance of usability and security. And, the top selling crypto wallets out there are Ledger and Trezor, and I believe Tangent is probably up there pretty high. There might be some other wallets there might be a different wallet that's number 3. There are other wallets out there. OneKey, Descent wallet, which is also a good wallet. And then, there's several companies out there that make Airgap wallets. So I still think using a hardware wallet is your go-to thing. But try to find a wallet that you can use, that's easy for you to use. All right, I'm going to try to get caught up here in the chat. It's great to have everybody here tonight. I got through my stuff kind of early tonight. So I'm just going to hang back and take questions and just chat with you guys. Let's see. Here we are. Always enjoy your streams. Thank you. Moonmutt. Appreciate it. Benga from Norway. Awesome. Gregory Whelan. Hello. Doc Capital. I think cold card Airgap is a stretch. Cold cards seem very complicated and not user-friendly. I can see how people can make mistakes setting it up. Thank you for that, Doc Capital. I'm not trying to knock hard Airgap wallets completely, because a lot of people use them and are proficient at using them and feel safe using them. I just feel that like this whole idea that Airgap is somehow better, more secure, has to be qualified, right? Benga, my only worry with Airgap from Tangem is if something goes wrong with Tangem, no business about something, no one can take crypto out, and the seed I can 100% import no matter what. Yeah, a lot of people worry about Tangem because it's proprietary and they're afraid they're going to lose all 3 of their cards, or that Tangem is going to go out of business. Going out of business is not like flipping a light switch. It's not going to be that you suddenly wake up one morning and Tangent will be gone. You'll hear about it in the news. And if you own a Tangem, you should be checking the news. But you'll have plenty of time to move your crypto out of a Tangem wallet. Your crypto is not stuck in your wallet. A wallet can send and receive. So if you hear on the news you think Tangem is going out of business, just move your crypto out of it. But they're not going anywhere as far as I know. They have no plans of shutting down, and it's a great and simple solution for newcomers. I think Tangem is one of the easiest wallets to use out there. It's just not as powerful and flexible as Trezors or Ledgers. But still a great option. I use both. And there's no reason you have to choose one crypto wallet either. I have several. And I spread my crypto out a little bit. I do have my favorite wallets that have, the bulk of my crypto, but I like to use different wallets, and there's no reason why you have to choose one wallet. Let's see here. The X card is so much more user-friendly than Elipal's other wallets, especially for the mass adoption of crypto. Yeah, thank you for that, Fred. I forgot to mention that the go-to Elipal wallet is Airgap. Their flagship wallet is, let's see here. Let's do that. Yeah, so that's their flagship product, right? I forget what they call it. The Titan 2.0. That's a fully Airgap wallet. So is the Titan Mini, right? But the Elipal X card, they say it's Airgap, but you set it up using this device, which I think is really cool. But then you use NFC when you use the card with the phone app, which is not strictly an Airgap device. But it does use a EAL6 Plus secure element chip. So it's kind of a hybrid between an Airgap and a non-Airgap one. And it's a card, so it's very convenient and easy to carry around. Pretty cool. Hi from Panama. Hi, Ron. I'm new to this, but very enthusiastic. Can you comment on this, please? SEC approves in-kind creations and redemptions for crypto ETPs. Not sure what, and I think it's similar to ETF. Let's see. Let me see if I can find that story. Let me put the S in front of it. That might help. In-kind creations and redemptions of crypto ETP. Actually, let's look at that overview. I think the AI. That was July 29th. SEC approved orders permitting in-kind creations of redempto for crypto asset exchange traded products. Okay. Making a significant shift from previous cash-only model. The decision allows participants to exchange ETF shares directly. Oh, okay, yeah. So originally, the Bitcoin ETF was going to include in-kind redemptions, or you could redeem the contract in Bitcoin. But at the last minute, this was back when Gary Gensler was still around, they nixed that, and Bitcoin ETFs can only be redeemed in cash only. And if they were going to allow in-kind redemptions, that would be better for the entire ecosystem because more people would actually be using Bitcoin. An ETF can be bought and sold using cash only, and no Bitcoin changes hands. So in-kind redemptions is better for adoption. So thank you for bringing that up. I was not aware of that. I don't know that any of the ETFs have implemented this yet, but now that they're free to, it will be good for overall Bitcoin adoption. And I don't know if this is just Bitcoin. They mentioned Ethereum here, so it would also be good for Ethereum. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Ron. Doc Capital not liking tariffs. Get it. How's Cat? Cat's good. Cat's outside. Cat comes and goes as he pleases. Cat loves treats. we give him these temptation treats, and I get like a box, like a case of them that have like 4 different flavors, and that cat just loves those treats. They're like little dry things, but I guess they're chewy or soft on the inside, and he will never pass those up. Like, I give him wet food and dry food where he gets in his bowls. I just keep the dry food in the bowl. If, when he eats it, I fill it back up again. But I give him wet food in the morning and in the evening. And sometimes, and it's, I can't think of the brand name of it, but it's good. It's a good brand. And they come in these little pouches, and, they're expensive. And then I'll pour him his wet food, and he just sniffs it and runs away. And it's the same one that he's eaten before. I buy like 3 different flavors, and in those boxes there's like a variation. And so I try to rotate them. But sometimes he likes the chicken, sometimes he doesn't like the chicken. Sometimes he likes the seafood bisque, sometimes he doesn't like the seafood bisque. But he always comes back and usually eats it later. So, but yeah, he's doing good. He got in some fights a month or so ago, had huge patches of his fur torn off where he got scratched. And he was kind of limping around a little bit because he spends a lot of time outside, hanging with his buddies and sometimes fighting with his buddies. And but his fur's growing back now. He got through it. Cats are pretty tough. You know how they are. 9 lives and all. I need to get a BitAxe and do a video on BitAxe. Well, let's find out what a BitAxe is. I think maybe someone has asked me about this. That's Slick a Little Miner. You know what? I was talking earlier about mining, and that's probably when you posted the comment. These are these tiny little miners that require very little power to run. They're pretty inexpensive, but the chance, and I don't think that you can join a mining pool with these. Maybe you can, but you have 2 choices. You can solo mine or join a pool. If you're going to use this thing to join a pool, your return is going to be minuscule because you're only getting a small share based on your hash rate, which is very low. And if you decide to solo mine, hoping that, by some miracle you'll catch a block reward, that's like 1 in a million or even higher. So they're fun for, just for hobbyists. But if you're going to do mining, you're probably better off plopping down some real money and getting, a high-end miner where you actually have a chance of winning a block. And then I also wanted to, if you choose to mine Dashcoin, which is the most profitable, then you're not going to have any chance at all of catching a Bitcoin block, right? Because I don't think you can mine simultaneously. You might be able to, but I think that if you decide to do Dash mining, it's an either or thing. You're either Bitcoin mining or Dash mining. Bitcoin mining full time for one of these, your return on investment would be a lot less, maybe $10 a day in Bitcoin. I'm just guesstimating here. So that's another thing to consider. They're going, here's how much you can earn. Well, that's not Bitcoin mining, that's Dash mining. So Bitcoin mining, you might catch a block and get that 250 grand, or you might just, pull in like $100 a month Bitcoin mining. But, no, some Bitcoin is better than none, but it might take like, rather than, like this makes it sound like you can recoup your investment in 2 months. And maybe you could, in Dash, and then after 2 months, after it's paid for itself, flip it over to Bitcoin and mine for Bitcoin at a lower return rate, but with basically a device that's paid for itself. Yeah. Seed phrases and 3 cards, I think it's the same bout if the programming breaks. If something happens, with example, the system breaks on Tangem. System breaks, I'm not sure. Oh, the system breaks. I think I covered that. Tangem is not going to break. I've never heard that anyone was worried that it was going to break. It's a wallet and it works. It's tested. The thing that could happen, I mean, you could break the card, but you have two backups. But you could break all three cards, I guess, and then you wouldn't be able to. You'd be out of luck. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's treated as something that's valuable. Treat it with care, and don't break it. I've had this Tangent card for like 3 or 4 years now, and it works just fine. Um, so I don't know. I don't break my stuff that often. Um, Things happen. I get it. Chechnya, good to have you, Anthony Forever. TCC is from the UK. That's great. This guy, Einstein. Well, I'm not that smart. I was mostly reading. But, I do have a lot of experience in this particular area. But you know what an expert is. An expert is a person that knows more and more about less and less until they know everything about nothing. So, yeah, I mean, I'm in this hardware wallet thing every day. But there are a lot of innovations out there, that are hard for me to keep up on. All the stuff that's going on in, crypto lending and crypto finance and all these new coins that are coming out all the time. It's hard to keep up. But I do kind of know hardware wallets, and I try to keep up with what's going on in the hardware wallet area. Birds, bees, and trees. Pool mine will get you 2.5 a month. Mine pool will get you $2.50 a month. It's to learn about Bitcoin mining works in Lotto Mine. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Doc Capital. Help decentralize the network? Yes, you are contributing. So that's another feature of getting one of those Axe miners. Cool. Not what I mean. Oh, Benga, what do you mean then when you say breaks? Never mind. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to minimize your question there. And if I misunderstood, just ask again. I don't always understand what people are asking. It's not timing the market, it's time in the market. I like that. That's good. You know what? I promised you that I would do this. So let me do this real quick. Sorry. You guys can still hear me, of course. So I have this Ledger Flex. And I'm going to just turn it on. And let me get the pin entered. All right, so we've got the Ledger Flex on. And so let's open this guy up. This is my recovery key that I got from Ledger. Pretty cool little device here. There we go. So this is our unboxing. Here's our Ledger recovery key. So all we really need to do to set this thing up, whoops, I went in a little too, is go into the settings, right? So here's all of our apps. We go into the settings here. I'm running the latest firmware, so I have the Ledger recovery key options here. So I'll just tap Ledger recovery key, hold this guy up. To the back. All right, and then we'll start the setup. It recognizes that it's a brand new one. It wants me to enter the key on pin on my Flex. All right, and now it gives me some stuff here. I need to set a pin for the card, right? I'm gonna do a pin here. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. Okay, and it wants me to re-enter the pin. Okay, let's see if I can get this here. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, let's try this again. Come on, Rex. Okay, something's weird is going on here. Okay. All right. Okay, that was weird. Okay. Just seemed like it wasn't taking my pin. All right. Anyway, so it took me a few minutes to do that pin. All right. And then now that I've set the pin, I just hold it to the back here. Sometimes you kind of have to adjust it a little bit. And boom, we're done. So I've created a backup on this card. And then if I want to restore from that card, I just get out a brand new device. I do my restore just like I would be, restoring from a seed phrase. And now on the newer Flex and Stacks ledger has the option to use the recovery key card. And instead of typing all of your 24 words in, all you have to do is hold the card to the back. It's really awesome. I'll just call this one Flex Key. Ugh, come on, Rex. Boy, I'm just like having trouble here. Come on, Rex. You can do it. You got company. There we go. Good. Oh. Okay, now I got to enter the pin again. Okay, and then the last step would just be holding it to the back here to confirm that name. Oh, all right. Okay. We'll try this later. I might have to reset the card. But anyway, it's too hard to do when I'm in front of people on a live stream. But that was it. I like those things. I think they're really cool. Ledger recovery key. Recovery key. Let's do that. Boy, I'm just having a hard time tonight. Okay, this thing. All right. So anyway, I just did a quick unboxing and did a backup in like less than 5 minutes. Probably should have only taken me 3 minutes. Have I ever been to BTC Prague? No. I got invited, but things just didn't work out for us logistically. They were going to pay for my plane ticket and everything, but it's during school and just it's in October this year, so we weren't able to pull that off. Jeff Frendel, what is a good source for a beginner? I've gone through the videos for a lot and have some questions that I have not seen answered. Thanks in advance. I don't know the best source for a beginner. I mean, I don't want to just say my videos, but I don't know what your main area of curiosity of whether it's trading or doing custody of Bitcoin. So there's really no central place to go get answers per se. The Ledger support site is pretty good if you have questions about Ledger. Each hardware wallet has their own support section. Elipal has a blog section where it has a lot of information about that, and so it's not easy. It's a pretty high, steep learning curve. So AI's not a bad place either. You can ask these questions to AI. I think most AIs have free versions that give you pretty decent answers. Let's see here. Oh, Dan the Man Wester is here. What is the question? Say you buy, okay, so this is obviously a trading question. You buy Bitcoin at 107, it goes to 116. Do you automatically get sold if your account goes to zero, or do you need to put a stop loss for all items, or maybe a limit to take profits? Yeah, that's really a trading question. That's not my area of expertise. I do self-custody. If you've purchased Bitcoin and you're holding it and it goes down, nothing, let's say you've invested $100. I know that's a pretty simple example. Let's say you've invested $100 and you bought $100 worth of Bitcoin when it was at 117. If it goes down to 116, you're not going to lose anything, right? You've already put the money in. You can wait for it to go back up. If Bitcoin goes to zero, of course your $100 investment will be zero, but I doubt Bitcoin's going to go to zero. Yeah, and if you're leveraging yourself, you could get liquidated depending on your trading strategy. So yeah, I'm not really the person to ask about that kind of stuff. Pink Panther Dev token has a partnership with NASDAQ. Sounds like you're shilling coins. I have ordered a Tangem card, Benga, and I like everything about it. Just can't decide to go seedless or not. Example says you can charge in your Tesla and the cable from the station has trouble. I choose the seedless option for Tangem because I believe that's the way the Tangem was designed to work, to hide the seed phrase from the end user. If you're nervous about that, and if you'd rather choose a seed option where you have a backup, I would suggest you buy a real, hardware wallet that has a full seed backup, like a Trezor or a Ledger model. Tangem, it works better as seedless. That's just my opinion. I think it's much easier for a newcomer. Restored my Ledger after years, which was nerve-wracking. Had to reset Ledger Live on my PC due to synchronizing multiple wallets. Crypto wasn't there at first after reinstalling apps, but good now. A lot of people over the years, they add accounts to Ledger Live, which may be from different devices or different configurations of their device if they do an accidental reset. So Ledger Live can get kind of gonked out after many years. Probably if you do a full restore, you might want to just do a full reinstall of Ledger Live and start from scratch. But really, if you restore a device, you should be able to just hit the ground running and go right into your Ledger Live and continue to manage the accounts that you had set up. Unless, of course, they got discombobulated over the years. But yeah, you can fully reset Ledger Live once you have your device restored, or you can just continue to use the accounts you've been using with your previous device. Your Tesla works fine. It's about stuck because the card is Tesla station is Tangem provider. I didn't know you could charge a Tangem in a Tesla. Bitcoin's very volatile. Started buying Bitcoin when it was around 8,500, and Dan thinks it'll go to 1 million. I don't disagree. Does it restore all the accounts too, or do you have to add them manually? It depends on what you're doing. Like I said, Amsterdam Holland asks about when you do a restore, does it restore your accounts? When you do a full restore on a new device, you are responsible for reinstalling the apps that are on there. But if you have a working copy of Ledger Live that you were using with your previous device, when you connect your new restored device and you go to manage any of those accounts, like say you want to send some crypto out for liquidation or receive some more crypto, as soon as you connect the device, it'll check to see if you have the crypto you're trying to interact with. So if you have a Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a Solana account, when you connect to your Solana account and say, I want to send out some Solana, it'll check the device and say, checking app something. It does, and if you don't have the device and the app installed on the device, Ledger Live will automatically install it for you. So you'll be able to recover all of the apps eventually, automatically. Or you can just look at the apps that you're managing in Ledger Live or the cryptos that you know you own and reinstall the apps. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Your account should not have changed. Not worried about the cards of the company goes bankrupt because the code is on Hub. Yes, that is true. That is right. It is open source code that you can inspect on GitHub. If you buy spot, you don't liquidate, you own it, right? But if you buy with margin, then your margin can get called. Thank you, Doc Capital. That was a little a more succinct answer than what I had. Good day from Australia. Good day, Aussie. Good to have you, Dustin and Shadow. Good to have everybody here. Thank you, birds, bees, and trees. Good to have you early and hang out. Powell is the new Gensler, it appears. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for being here tonight. Sorry my little unboxing failed when I entered the wrong pin. But worst case scenario, I can reset that card and start from scratch and get it done right. Something weird was going on as I was trying to enter. I was nervous trying to get it done as fast as possible. But really easy card to use if you're patient. So let's see, what do we got here? Is this going to work? No. That's not going to work. What is this? Oh, no, this one. This is the one I'm looking for. Is that one going to work? Hey, that does work. So thank you for being here tonight. Don't forget, we do this every Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join me again for the live stream from Michigan, where you can throw out questions and I'll do my best to get them answered. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. When you subscribe, there's a little bell that you can click that will allow you to be alerted whenever I post new content. Once again, thanks for joining me and hope to see you again soon. Good night, everybody. I see Bitcoin. Well, I don't make predictions, right? I treat Bitcoin as a long-term investment. Yeah. But I'm not very good at predictions. If I predict it'll go up, it'll go down. If I predict it'll go down, it'll go up. So maybe just, to take